I have an ideal. Xuefeng. Translated by Trans Unlimited and edited by Care. Following the footprints of immortals, sages, oracles, and saints, I have crossed and trekked numerous treacherous mountains and rivers. Roaming all through the wilderness of soul, I have been spreading the message of the greatest creator. The wishes of God and Buddha and the expectations of oracles and saints have converged to form my ideal, which is as clear and bright as the shining sun and can be food of thought for you to meditate over. Human beings have been trekking along a long path soaked with blood. Jesus and Sakyamuni have revealed to us that in the universe there are many higher spaces of life, and have earnestly and tirelessly admonished us not to go astray from the great road of life. Numberless immortals, sages, oracles, and saints have exerted their utmost effort for the happiness of mankind. Their souls are still shining brightly over us, warning us not to act against the law of nature and wishing us to live a happy life. However, blinded by the dense fog of civilization, mankind has been straying further and further away from the great road. I want to kindle a beacon of hope to light up the endless darkness, bringing mankind a ray of hope. I want to create an oasis out of the vast and isolated desert, offering an auspicious and harmonious habitat for life on Earth. I want to build a land of spirit and soul out of the boundless ocean of flaunty material prosperity, leading to the land those people who yearn towards the greatest creator, love life and nature, and possess beautiful human nature and soul, and making them eternally severed from the abyss of sufferings. I will shepherd them safely to the thousand-year world to enjoy the wonderful time of the millennium. The people favored by God and Buddha are still miserably shackled in spirit and soul. In this bustling world overrun with desire for material acquisition, people with a purer and better heart are more prone to spiritual and psychological tortures, and cannot afford even a moment of peace and quiet. Every place reeks of putrid smells. What meet the eyes are wickedness and evils that have gone unpunished. Man's tremendous amount of legal articles and religious teachings are powerless to avert the depravity of morality and the prevalence of wickedness. The viciously misleading evil soul and the junk thought have taken up the throne of truth. Despotism has not only caused the loss of personal and spiritual freedom for the governed, but also has caused the governing class to be trapped in the quagmire of desperation, without any hope to obtain the true freedom of life. I want to tell people that the plight of mankind doesn't lie in the material aspect but in the spiritual aspect. The wasteland of spirit and soul is the real source of human suffering. Seeking the homestead for spirit and soul is an urgency for mankind. The blind pursuit of material acquisition is only analogous to quenching one's thirst with poisoned wine or stopping water from boiling by scooping it up and pouring it back. Thus, such acts will cause the ruin of not only the earth, but mankind itself. An era is a demoniac era if the dignity of a person is determined by the amount of money he has earned and the social position he has attained, and if the value of man is not measured by his moral character and good deeds. A society is an evil society if it allows its subjects to become upstart through speculation and plundering instead of getting rich with honest and diligent labor. A government is a despotic and satanic government if it spares no effort to force out new thinking, attempting to lock people in an ignorant and barbarian and savage world. A nation will be one void of wisdom and oriented toward insanity and destruction if it does not advocate dedication and love, but blindly instigates its people to use violence. Man's worry originates partly from ignorance and partly from selfishness. Because of ignorance, we have invited demons in but shut the door against God and Buddha. Because of selfishness, we have chosen wickedness but abandoned righteousness. A lot of good ideals and kind moralities are often snuffed out in the cradle. The desolation of soul is the optimum soil to breed junk thought and religious plague. Today, people are engulfed in information. Television, networks, newspapers and magazines, books and lectures are infusing mountains of information into us, far more than we can digest, thus causing the indigestion, malnutrition, and ill health. The pursuit of knowledge has become a morbid thirst. The more we attempt to swallow down unthinkingly, the less we understand. Various media have become the fertile soil to cultivate ignorance and manic and blind adherence. Having no beliefs, no principles, no wisdom, and no spiritual perception, those literati have made up rancid articles under the pretense of maintaining stability, advocating reform, carrying forward culture, inheriting legacies, publicizing morality, and promoting benevolence, and under the disguise of adhering to belief, cultivating oneself, pursuing freedom, and fighting despotism. They have fabricated so much cultural garbage and so many spiritual drugs that it is impossible to clean them all up. The roughly manufactured scum has become our daily food for thought, which has directly distorted our values, destroyed our human environment, and polluted our pure heart. Having no beliefs, no principles, no wisdom, and no spiritual sense, those literati hangmen worship those rancid articles as classics under the pretense of maintaining stability, advocating reform, carrying forward culture, inheriting legacies, publicizing morality, and promoting benevolence, and under the disguise of adhering to belief, cultivating oneself, pursuing freedom, and fighting despotism. As for those works of wisdom, which shine resplendently with thought, they looked down upon them as heresies and wielded their cultural butcher knife toward them without hesitation. The Chinese people. On the one hand, you have been heaving sighs that China has become a land deserted by the greatest creator. But have you, on the other hand, acquired the broadness of mind to include great wisdom? Can you recognize it when great wisdom really descends from heaven? I have an ideal that the greatest creator may enter China and the human world, that Christianity and Buddhism may regain their prevalence here, and that humanity may be restored on the beautiful land. When conspiracy and tricks prevail over truth, justice is taunted, enthusiasm meets with contempt, reverence for the greatest creator is regarded as ridiculous, oppression and bully are viewed as inviolable power, the hoodwinked masses are meanwhile branded as ignorant, freedom is slandered, life is trampled, right and wrong are reversed, black and white are confused, and good and evil people mix together. Then in such situations we have no choice but to search the source of life. Only in this way can we pierce through the indistinct murk and see the light. Only in this way can we steady the steer in the turbid and turbulent waves and ultimately reach the ocean of life. In this unusual time of superficial prosperity, when actually crises are lurking everywhere, we are not yet in the position to sing praises of the virtue or merits. At a time when the journey is rough and treacherous, flattery and conservativeness cannot salvage us. Now it is not yet the time when the bank of injustice has gone bankrupt completely. Any non-action and dawdling will only speed up the approach of doomsday. We will only eventually lose our beautiful homestead and splendid future if we are only capable of destruction and are incapable of construction, if we don't know how to repay other people's favors and are only bent on vengeance, and if we only want to acquire from others and do not know how to dedicate to others. For many centuries, man's blind behaviors have dug out an abyss, which can engulf us at any moment and thus should be filled up. The sooner it is leveled up, the better it would be. Reverence for the greatest creator and adherence to his road is our only hope, because only in front of the greatest creator can we have equal human dignity. Because we should worship the greatest creator so that our mind can possess soul, our knowledge be transformed into wisdom. And only in this way can we understand the meaning of life and embark on the great road of life. You may lock yourself up in the ivory tower, lose yourself in the piles of broken papers, and engross yourself in the so-called academic research, thus placing yourself outside the social issues. In so doing, you seem to have entered a serene heaven. However, can you expect any egg to remain intact if the nest is overturned? Poke your head inside a cave, leaving your hindquarter exposed and fancying that what is not seen does not exist. Can you derive from your research any great achievements that may do any good to humankind? The unrealistic teaching or truth that blindly preaches pursuit of happiness of future life is absurd and wicked. A person always wearing a smile is relentless at heart. A person always with tears is cruel at heart. Children are suffering starvation and cannot afford education. The poverty-stricken have no money to treat their diseases. However, we are manufacturing various kinds of luxury products and building one after another lifeless skyscrapers. Isn't this a mockery and blasphemy against life? If our neighbors have no freedom, we ourselves cannot obtain complete freedom. If our brothers are suffering starvation, we cannot swallow the dainty food in our mouths. If people in the remote areas are crying, we will not be able to enjoy quietly the comfort and luxury of big cities. I have an ideal. I will lead those who truly yearn towards the greatest creator to life genuine and transform the jarring hullabaloo into a fraternal movement and play a convivial symphony of life. I firmly believe that mankind can certainly walk out of the dark canyon and the wasteland of spirit and enter an unprecedentedly beautiful field. I firmly believe that soul will prevail over flesh and that people will eventually obtain the freedom of body and mind and the serenity of life. This is not a golden fantasy for the remote future. The majestic tides are surging with mighty momentum. Among their broad bosoms are contained colorful gems that can decorate man's life and make it more noble and beautiful. When the unexpected supernatural incident comes, the mysterious power shall strike people's heartstrings, the vast fields will take on the splendid coating, the polluted rivers will become clear and pure again, the turbid sky will be changed into expanses of colorful clouds, and the free rhythm will reverberate in each inch of the land. Eternal virtue remains with Jesus Christ. Supreme wisdom is ascribed to Sakyamuni. Eternal glory belongs to the greatest creator.